good to have you join me on the news. The headline says France toughens immigration law. Colorado's highest court bars Trump from presidency. China's limits evident in Myanmar's tentative truce. Malaysia bars Israeli-owned and linked shipping, and India suspends 141 members of parliament. The French parliament has passed by a wide margin an immigration bill supported by President Emmanuel Macron after a revolt within his party over the toughened up legislation that has secured the endorsement for the far right. The bill had been importantly tightened since it was first introduced, with some on the left of Macron's ruling Renaissance Party accusing his government of giving in to Marine Le Pen's far-right National Rally RN in an effort to secure support. Gerald Damanin, Interior Minister and ambitious 41-year-old who has spearheaded the legislation, stated relief that the votes of his coalition and Conservatives were enough to get the bill through Parliament. Some 349 members voted in favor, with 186 against. The upper house has passed the legislation already. A previous version of the bill was voted down without even being debated in the National Assembly, in a major setback to Macron. Pressure from the far right saw the government agree to water down regulations on residency permits while delaying migrants' access to welfare benefits, including for children and housing, by numerous years. The amendments also introduced migration quotas, making it difficult for migrants' children to become French, and that dual national sentence for serious crimes against the police could be stripped of their French nationality. Le Pen had said that the RN will endorse the amendment legislation, stoking embarrassment among more left-wing members of Macron's party who find it unpalatable to vote in unison with the far right. 20 members of the Renaissance voted against the bill, 17 abstained, and 131 voted in favor in the end. After the vote, Le Pen claimed an ideological victory. On judicial matters, Colorado's Supreme Court has ruled ex-United States President Donald Trump is unqualified to run for the White House because of his role in the 2021 assault on the Capitol by his supporters, and should be removed from the state's primary ballot. While the ruling only applies to Colorado, it marks the first time in U.S. history that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which bars from public office anyone who engaged in insurrection, has been used to bar a presidential candidate, and comes as courts in other states consider similar legal actions. The Colorado High Court ruled in its 4-3 majority decision. A majority of the court holds that President Trump is disqualified from holding the office of president under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Because he is unqualified, it will be a wrongful act under the Election Code for the Colorado Secretary of State to list him as a candidate on the presidential primary ballot. We do not reach these conclusions lightly, they added. The decision, which Trump's campaign said it will appeal, drew instant condemnation from Republicans. The one-time property tycoon and reality TV star faces a raft of court cases, from criminal charges over alleged attempts to overturn the 2020 poll, to mishandling classified documents, hush money payments in the 2016 election, and fraud in his business practices. Trump has claimed he is the victim of political persecution. A lower court earlier found that while Trump incited an insurrection for his role in the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol, he could not be banned from the ballot because it was uncertain that a 14th Amendment was planned to cover the presidency. Noah Bookbinder of the campaign group Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, which brought the original case along with a group of Colorado voters, welcomed Tuesday's higher court ruling. The court's decision is not only historic and justified, but is necessary to protect the future of democracy in our country, he said in a statement. Now, China has appeared as the dominant foreign power in terms of shaping possible outcome in Myanmar's increasing political chaos, as Beijing seeks to assert its influence over many armed groups who have staged the biggest challenge to the generals since they seized power in the February 2021 coup. Last week, Beijing pushed the three powerful ethnic armies, the Arakan Army AA, the Mandarin-speaking Myanmar National Democratic Alliance Army NMDAA, and the Tang National Liberation Army TNLA to agree to a truce after fighters working with anti-coup coalitions across Myanmar pushed Senior General Mi Aung military out of Swat of the north, overran hundreds of military outposts and seized control of border crossings with China under Operation 1027. China's ceasefire announcement followed meetings in its southwestern city of Kunming between the State Administration Council SAC, as Myanmar's coup leaders call themselves, and the Three Brotherhood Alliance, the coalition of the AA, MDAA, and TNLA, which is driving 1027 offensive. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning said in a statement on December 14th that China supports the peace process of northern Myanmar and has provided support and facilitation for dialogue and contact between relevant parties in Myanmar, confirming that a temporary ceasefire had been reached. Beijing's key involvement in the truce and its armed support for both ethnic armies and the SAC makes China by far the most influential foreign actor in the fight in Myanmar, a strategic location where big powers have long pushed for influence and whose generals are also strengthening relations with Russia. The SAC Foreign Minister Than Sui was in Beijing at the beginning of December. Jason Towa, a Myanmar country director at the United States Institute of Peace, said the truce followed the junta foreign minister's visit to Beijing, where he pleaded for China's assistance and a flurry of Chinese government interactions with the MNDAA and its allies. On Wednesday, Malaysia's government declared that it was enforcing a ban on Israeli-owned and flagged ships as well as any vessels headed to Israel from docking at its ports. The announcement by Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's office said the ban will take place with immediate effect and was in reaction to Israel's conduct in its conflict with Hamas. The statement reads, "This sanction is a response to Israel's actions that disregard the basic humanitarian principles and violate international law through the ongoing massacre and continuous cruelty against the Palestinian people." Muslim-majority Malaysia has long defended Palestinian rights and causes like neighboring Indonesia, Brunei, Bangladesh, the Maldives, and Pakistan. It does not recognize Israel. The ongoing bombardment of Gaza by Israel's military following Hamas' deadly October 7th attacks has stoked mass rallies in Malaysia and put domestic political pressure on Anwar. Anwar remains one of the most outspoken world leaders against Israel as well as its backers in the United States, although the latter remains a key trading partner. In November, a parliamentary speech made Anwar said the government will maintain ties with Hamas and will not punish the group following its October 7th rampage in Israel, which some say 1,200 people were killed, mostly civilians, and saw more than 200 hostages taken. Malaysia passports also bear the inscription "valid for all countries except Israel." Israeli passport holders are forbidden to enter Malaysia without prior permission. The Malaysian government in its statement said Israeli registered companies and ships had been previously allowed to dock in the country since 2005. However, the government today has decided to override the past cabinet's decision to not allow ships using Israeli flags to dock in the country. Wednesday's statement also singled out the Israel-based global shipping company ZIM Zim for the record. Zim vessels have been docking in Malaysia since 2002, the statement said. In addition, Malaysia has also imposed a ban on any ship that are headed to Israel from landing cargo at Malaysian ports. Opposition lawmakers are accusing India's government of an attack on democracy after lots of them were suspended from parliament this week, the newest twist in a historic dispute between the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party BJP and a freshly formed alliance that is seeking to unseat them next year. According to report, House speakers have suspended a total of 141 opposition lawmakers, 95 from the lower house and 46 from the upper chamber. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's BJP has a majority in both houses and is now anticipated to legislate almost unchallenged for the remainder of the session that ends on Friday. The suspensions come as Parliament is set to debate a controversial criminal reform bill which Mallikarjun Kharge, chief of the major opposition Congress party, has said could unleash draconian powers and impede citizens' rights. Modi's government does not want the people of India to hear out the opposition while the bills are debated and deliberated, he said, according to reports. The suspensions were endorsed following a key security breach in Parliament last week when two men stormed the chamber, chanting slogans and releasing colored gas. The opposition lawmakers demanded a parliamentary debate on the breach only to be suspended by the respective House speakers for causing disorder. The New York-based Human Rights Foundation said it strongly condemns India's ongoing crackdown on the opposition and critics in a statement describing the suspensions as a record number. Most of the suspended Member of Parliament are part of an alliance known as India, a coalition of opposition parties that is looking to defeat Modi and the BJP in next year's general election expected in May. The BJP has been continually accused by its critics of stifling opposition and undermining democracy in Parliament. It has repeatedly denied the allegations. According to reports on Sunday, Modi said the security breach was a serious matter that should be investigated, but one that does not need a parliamentary debate. On more stories in Africa, Washington urges transparency in DRC polls. On Tuesday, the United States called on the electoral authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, to be transparent in announcing the results of Wednesday's elections following missed deadlines in 2019. While U.S. diplomacy praised the work of the DRC's Electoral Commission, U.S. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller said additional measures to ensure the transparency of the electoral processes, including clear information on when and how results will be published, will help build confidence. We urge all candidates and parties to do their best in promoting fair and free elections with a peaceful and credible process, he said, also calling on the government to maintain freedom of expression. Some 44 million voters in the DRC out of a total population of around 100 million in a tense climate are called upon on Wednesday to elect their president, national and provincial deputies, and for the first time, communal councillors. About 75,000 polling stations are set to open in this immense Central African country, which is almost devoid of road infrastructure. After the December 2018 elections, the Electoral Commission said it will announce the results on January 6th, but declared Felix Tshisekedi the winner in January 10th. His opponent, Martin Fayulu, then denounced fraud. Given the DRC's violent political past, however, these elections marked the country's first peaceful changeover. This year, campaigning took place in relative calm. Still on DRC's election, DRC government concerned about poll result tampering. As reported by multiple sources, the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, refused to authorize satellite equipment for European Union election observers, stating fears that it could be utilized to manipulate the upcoming presidential poll later this month. Peter Kasadi, Minister of the Interior and Security, said some organizations come with technology that could effectively penetrate the electronic system of the CENI, Independent National Electoral Commission, and be able to manipulate the election results. On November 29th, in a surprising move, the EU called off its electoral mission to the Central African nation, citing technical issues. The government, acknowledging its regret over the cancellation of the observation mission, faced criticism as several officials revealed that the decision was a result of a prolonged request for permits for satellite equipment. Congolese civil society, the US-based Carter Center, and the 16-nation Southern African Development Community will observe the election today, December 20th. And let's take a quick break, and when we come back, I'll bring you more stories from Nigeria. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Stories from Nigeria from Rivers State. Fubara deems no cost too high for peace in Rivers. Yesterday, Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State said no price was too big to make sure there is peace in the state. Fubara spoke as stakeholders rejected the truce brokered between him and Chief Nyesom Wike, minister, to end the political crunch in the state less than 24 hours after the agreement was signed. Amid claims and counterclaims that Fubara did not sign the 8-point agreement, elders and political leaders of the state led by former Governor Rufus Arthur George yesterday rejected the resolution terms, rising from an emergency meeting at which they reviewed the president's directives for the resolution of the political impasse in Rivers State. The elders, in a communique read by Chief Arthur George, said the agreement unilaterally suspended the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria by virtue of an attempt to reverse a court order recognizing Edison Ehi as the Speaker and directing that the remainder of members of the House of Assembly constituted the quorum for legislative business. They said the instruction also breached the doctrine and practice of separation of powers as it affects the responsibility of the judiciary, and wondered if the President or executive arm could overrule the decisions of courts of competent jurisdiction, saying this pretends executive mischief which undermines our constitutional democracy, rule of law, and good governance. The elders maintain that Mahule, who has ceased to be Speaker by the decision of Rivers State High Court and ceased to be a legislator by virtue of his defection to another party. They also stated that the lawmakers cannot decide where to hold their sittings because it is the duty of the executive arm of government to provide accommodation for legislators in a constitutional democracy as exemplified by the Federal Capital Territory Minister with respect to the National Assembly. Following fears that he had left his packed supporters in rude shock, Fubara said he was committed to ensuring peace in the state and among its people so as to foster development. Speaking at the third convocation and 6th Founders Day ceremony of PMO, University of Medical Sciences in Iribe Town, Obio, Akpo local government area of the state, he said, and I quote, "There is no price that will be too big to pay to ensure that peace prevails." The governor assured that he was ready and will continue to pay the needed price that will guarantee peace. Governor Fubara assured that the provision of a quality education system and affordable public healthcare services will remain two key priorities of his administration that are driven to achieve universal access for all Rivers people. Now, 2024 budget lacks census allocation, says Senate. The population census plan for next year may suffer impediments as there is no provision for it in the budget proposal submitted by the National Population Commission. Senator Abdul Ningi, the chairman of the Senate Committee on the National Population Commission (NPC), gave the surprising disclosure on Tuesday when he appeared before the National Assembly Joint Committee on Appropriations. He said if the money for the census was not provided for in the budget, the country will lose about 200 billion naira, which has been spent by the NPC. However, Senator Ningi told the Appropriation Committee led by Senator Solomon Adiola that the NPC will appear tomorrow with their documentation to state how much they will need for the conduct of the 2024 population census. Meanwhile, Senator Solomon Adiola assuaged the fears about the conduct of the census as he assured that the National Assembly will look for funds to cater for the 2024 population census in the budget. The lawmakers set to drop their opposition to the inclusion of the controversial 1 billion naira in the 2024 budget of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment at yesterday's session of the Joint National Assembly Committee with approval. The panel gave its support after receiving the report of the Joint National Assembly Committee on Industry, Trade and Investment on the Ministry's 2024 budget. However, Senator Solomon Adiola promised that the federal lawmakers will carry out aggressive oversight to make sure the fund was appropriately used. Finally, on the news on economy matters, cash shortage sparks new NLC protest threat. On Tuesday, the Nigeria Labour Congress stated worries over the persistent cash scarcity in the country. The Congress said in a statement by its national president Joe Ajaero, 5 days to the Christmas Day celebration, the situation had serious consequences for citizens, insisting that urgent measures must be taken to tackle it. Bank customers have been groaning over their inability to access cash to meet daily needs despite assurances from the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN). The banks have continued to ration cash over the counter, while several ATMs are not dispensing cash. NLC in the statement, however, warned the federal government and the Central Bank of Nigeria that a mass public protest was imminent if nothing was done to address the naira shortage. The NLC leader said if the CBN was saying that those with ill-gotten wealth were stashing cash in their houses to avoid detection, it became a heavy indictment on the government's anti-corruption agenda. The NLC noted that the POS operators were charging around 400 naira to access 10,000 naira, which was about 4% reduction in the value of the income of poor Nigerians who hardly made use of electronic platforms to perform their transactions. For citizens who were already impoverished by the same policies of government, voicing this on them again resulted to gross insensitivity and double jeopardy. It stated, the NLC stated that it recognized the significance of a vibrant economy and alleged that it was in the interest of the nation to ensure that the citizens could enjoy the festive season without undue financial strain. It stated we call on the government to take immediate and decisive action to alleviate the cash crunch and mitigate its impact on the people. To refresh our memories, France toughens immigration law. Colorado's highest court bars Trump from presidency. China's limits evident in Myanmar's tentative truce. Malaysia bars Israeli-owned and linked shipping. India suspends 141 members of parliament. And that's you up to date with Global News. Thanks for watching. I am Lois Turek.